Hi there and welcome to our first road trip video. So we're going away on our first road trip. We're going to do 2 nights down in Torquay. So we're going to head down later today and park up and have an overnight stay, and then have the day in Torquay tomorrow, another overnight, have a bit of a morning in around the seaside, and then back home. So just a short little trip just to test out the bed, the camper van layout, see how we get on. So I'll show you how it's all packed up. So we've got our Vangear kitchen, and we've topped up the fresh water bottle. We've got a couple of bottles of still water in there as well, and we've got some plates and cutlery in there as well, and some bowls, and then in the cupboard we've got some stuff for breakfast, our tea and coffee. The kettle's in there. We've filled up the Thetford porta potty as well, so we'll put the blue solution diluted in the bottom tank, and then the pink rinse solution in the top tank, so that's all ready to go. The Bluetti is charged up to 100%, so we'll get that on in a bit. Get the fridge on and the electrics going, because we have in the fridge got some drinks in there. We'll be adding some milk in there once it's turned on. But yeah, for now we'll just leave it with the drinks in there. And then if we come round to the back, we've got a couple of packing cubes with our clothes in. We've got 2 beach chairs in there. The soot boards are just hiding underneath there. We've got our oars, pump, some mats to stand on when we get out. The life jackets are in the back. At the back there's also a sort of plastic box that's filled with the fins and various other little bits, and we've also got a sup pump hidden at the back as well, so it's all nicely packed in there. And then we've got the bed ready as well, so we've got a couple of pillows on there, so we'll see how we get on with that at night. But yeah, we're all packed up and ready to head off. So hopefully you can hear us above the waves, but we're down here at Meadfoot Beach now. Arrived last night, so didn't get much chance to do some filming on the way down. The journey was pretty horrific really on the M5, from about Bristol to Weston-super-Mare. It was pretty much bumper to bumper, barely getting into double figures for speed. Really heavy traffic. We did stop off at MFG Taunton Dean, so just off the motorway. We arrived there with 60%, just did a very quick charge. I think we were on the charger for about 8 minutes while we just went to the loo and grabbed a drink, and then carried on down to Torquay. Got here around about, I think it was about 7:30 in the end. Took about maybe 3.5, 4 hours to get down, so really long journey. But we grabbed some food last night, and then parked up in a little side street, had an overnight sleep in the van. It wasn't too bad. I mean, it is quite tight in that bed, but it was just about manageable to have some sleep. Had the aircon on in the van overnight, so it was fairly pleasant sleep overnight. And then this morning woke up. Typically it was raining. We did manage to have a quick dip in the sea to start with, but the rain came soon after that. It's a bit windy as well for getting out the paddle boards. Winds up to about 21 miles an hour apparently, so it does feel quite breezy. There are a few waves coming along in the sea, so yeah, we're avoiding the paddle boarding, but typically first trip out didn't weather-wise go according to plan. But looking at the positives, we've had a night in the van, we've got a second night tonight. We've tested that we can get everything in that we need. We've used the kettle, we've used the sink, we've got the fridge on, so yeah, all in all it's not too bad. But now just sat here enjoying the view, enjoying a little glimmer of sunshine that we've currently got, although it is quite cloudy. Yeah, we've got another dip in the sea later on, dinner tonight, overnight, and then back home tomorrow. So we left Torquay with about 43%, and went back to MFG Taunton, same place as we went to on the way down. Got there with 16%, so plenty left if we needed it, but there was no one on the chargers. So we were straight on there, spent about 27 minutes I think according to the receipt, getting the van up to a bit of time to have a drink, toilet break and some lunch, and then a fairly decent journey on the way home back from Taunton, a lot better than on the way down. No real traffic, most of the time spent doing 70 miles an hour, so that was fine. Got back home with about 30%, so fairly reasonable given the high speed. We used a little bit more on the way home than we did on the way down, but that'll be the average speed that changed that figure. But all in all, we were always above 3 miles per kilowatt hour. I think we did 3.1 to 3.4 depending on which leg of the journey it is. So, you know, for a big van, it's fairly efficient to drive, and we spent about £34 in total charging at MFG with their discount. So again, it's always more expensive than charging at home, but a lot more reasonable than some of the operators are at the moment. So cost-wise, fairly good. In terms of the van itself, so sleeping, second night was better than the first night. Getting a bit more used to the bed and what position to lie in to get the most comfort out of it, because it is quite tight in there. Really glad we had the utility mode on the van, so that allowed us to keep the air conditioning on overnight. Generally uses less than 1% per hour, but obviously that will depend on what temperature you set it at overnight and what the temperature is outside and how much cooling it needs to do. But I mean, it made the van so much more comfortable to sleep in. We've got a CO2 monitor as well, because we didn't put any windows or other ventilation in, and we were just going to sort of crack open the front windows a little bit, which we didn't do in the end, because having the aircon on in utility mode kept the CO2 levels down quite low. I mean, they were slightly higher than if we'd have had the doors open. Generally got to about 700 to 800 parts per million of CO2, so it wasn't too bad. Still flashing as green, so it was okay. There were times if we had the door shut and didn't have the aircon on, it would get up to a couple of thousand. So the aircon definitely helped from that point of view without having the ventilation on. Although when we got out this morning, because it had been on, there was a big puddle under the van, obviously, where the aircon condensation was dripping, but that's not a problem. It was clean water, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, that really helps with the sleeping. In terms of using the van, again, it's a small van, so it's tight for space, but for the 2 nights we've done, pretty usable. We could do it again quite easily, and again, as we go out and about and learn a bit more, we get used to sort of using things and where they are. I think the layout is just about okay. It is quite, as I say, quite tight for 2. So if one person's getting dressed, the other person's either got to be out of the van or lying on the bed, because there isn't really much space for 2 of you to do something out of the bed. There's not much we could change, because we liked having the sink. That was good, washing hands, doing some washing up once we'd had breakfast and the like. So, you know, we want to keep that. Again, having the Thetford porta potty was quite handy, although emptying it out was never going to be an enviable job once I got home, but we've done that. So that's good to have. The fridge as well for milk and various cold drinks and stuff, again, was quite useful. So we want that sort of stuff in there, but again, trying to get a layout that works. I mean, we could move the fridge unit so it's back up against the driver's seat and alongside the sink. That might give us a bit more space across, but then we've got the wiring to think of to get from the fridge to the electrics under the bed, and also because we put the unit there, we've got the electrics from the light running through that cupboard as well, to join up to the fridge to then go to the fuse board that's behind the bed. So there'd be sort of issues with cable routes and the wiring if we did want to move it. I mean, it's something we might think about in the future if we could, but for now, you know, we can live with it. As I say, this is a camper van for 2-night sort of weekend breaks, so it's, you know, never going to be a van that we're going to live in for weeks on end, months on end. So for what it is, for what we can get out of it, it's fairly reasonable and quite an enjoyable 2 days despite the rain. But as I say, we've got a chance to test out everything. We can fit everything in the storage under the bed. That's a big plus as well, being able to get all the paddle boards in, all the sort of life vests and all our clothes and stuff packed away, and the oars and pump and stuff underneath that bed. That is really helpful and really handy. I think if we had a fold out sort of rock and roll bed, we'd lose a lot more space inside. We wouldn't have the same storage underneath it. So again, that sideways bed has given us that, but again, we compromised a little bit with the comfort of sleeping. But again, it was never going to be like a double bed at home type sleeping at night. Where we stayed, so we just parked up on the street because we've left the outside of the van as it is, so it just looks like a van parked at the side of the road. You wouldn't really know someone was sleeping inside it. So we found a sort of quiet side streets and a couple of different locations where we could just park up about 10 o'clock at night, jump in the back, go to bed. We were up at about sort of 6:30ish, 7 o'clock, straight off down the beach, park up there. So we weren't really any inconvenience, and the streets we chose, there actually weren't many houses where we actually stayed. So there's some quite large houses with really big gardens and sort of long driveways. So even though we were parked in the street, we weren't actually right outside someone's sort of living room window or something like that. So we made sure not to inconvenience sort of anyone, and obviously taking all our rubbish away. You wouldn't even know we'd been there if sort of you didn't come out of your house between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. You wouldn't have even known we were there. So that worked quite well as well, keeping that sort of stealth look from the outside. But yeah, all in all, generally quite a good trip and quite enjoyed it. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a like and also hit that subscribe button to stay tuned for more videos.